Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. If you desire to intimately connect with yourself, significant other, children, family, friends, community, and higher power, then this is the show for you. We explore intimate topics, inspiring life stories, spirituality, and insightful tips on strengthening relationships. The show is hosted by Dr. April and her co-host, Coach K. Let's get this episode of the Bringing Intimacy Back show started. We share with you today the secret power to intimacy to create the life you love or love the life you create. Now here's your host, Dr. April, and her co-host, Coach K.
Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. How are you doing, Coach K?
I am doing amazing. Out and about today. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing good. Yeah. But it's been an interesting week because there's been, I don't know, in the air, just so many different things happening, in the world and in people's lives of my own family members. Yeah, that's been somewhat stressful.
Yeah, and it seems like it's just true to nature. As soon as the holiday time starts calling, everything starts happening.
Yes, it does. Yeah. And so I'm kind of glad we're having this topic because sometimes people think, oh, yeah, intimacy is great when everything is good. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no problems. But when you have struggles, and in our topic today, we're talking about intimacy through illnesses and finding love after loss.
Yeah, and that's a difficult one. So this is a really good topic because there's someone who has gone through that loss that's maybe still sitting trying to figure out, okay, what do I do now? So this is a very important topic.
Right. Or people out there who are struggling right now through various human life things that happen. Illnesses is something that always happens.
Yep. And just thinking about this topic, and of course I won't go too far in it because we're going to get deep into it. It was within 5 years of meeting my husband that he had a spontaneous pneumothorax. He was in his early 20s. I was in my early 20s. We just had number 3 and I was pregnant with number 4. And I'm like, you never think about that when you're saying those vows. Till death do us part, and sickness and health. You don't think about the health or the death part, but that was a reality that I faced. So I'm really intrigued to hear more about this topic.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that reminds me, because I take care of my parents, and then how one of them's dealing with an illness, and how do you maintain that strong connection? Yes. Well, thanks for sharing that. Before we get into the topic, I want to talk about in October is Domestic Violence Month. And so one of the things that we're highlighting is www.abuse.com. It's a great organization to help people who are living in unhealthy relationships and maybe they need resources. So it's a great charity.
Yeah, that's a definitely. A great organization.
Yes. So if you're out there and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, I don't know, to leave, to stay, to whatever, this organization will just be a great resource that you can lean on for housing, finances, and a variety of other aspects. So we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to have Richard Strother talk about the importance and how he moved through finding love after loss. How do you create intimacy through an illness? I'm just really excited to hear this young gentleman educate us and give us resources and tools. We'll be back in a moment.
Are you a business professional? Dr. April Brown's latest book is for you. Whether you are newly hired or managing a team of employees, her 30 intimacy-driven business principles will help you progress towards career success. Learn how to show up as your best self at work, what it means to cultivate a meaningful career, and how to avoid burnout, all while living up to your highest professional potential. Improving Intimacy, the book for business professionals, is available on Amazon in Kindle, Audible, and paperback. Search Dr. April Brown on Amazon to view all her books on improving intimacy for yourself, spouse, spirit, and more.
Welcome back to the Bringing Intimacy show, where intimacy is real. Yes. Welcome, Richard. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Yes. So for everyone to know, Richard Strother is a widow's wingman. That's what he's known for.
The widower's wingman, yeah.
Yes, which is a unique introduction.
Indeed.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. Yes.
Yeah, people do. It really describes what I do very well. So
Yes. So he's very creative, even though back in October of 2018, just a few years ago, you had a life-altering tragedy of losing your wife after 20 years.
we were together 20 years, yeah, and we were married for 10 of those. So
Yeah, that is a lot. And so you have a career in computer graphics and have been a trainer at Apple and stuff. And so you have learned how to use those resources. And then also, I guess, just studying psychology. Yes, to help people move through the dating world, because now you're actually in another relationship that's very happy for you.
it's amazing. I can't stress how amazing it is. It really, like, finding relationships at this stage it seems very daunting, but it is highly doable, and it really is. It's not as difficult as people think if you know the right tricks, you know.
Right.
If you have the right foundation, I don't want to say tricks because that implies that there's some sort of kind of hack. It's like, no, there's just some really good foundations you need to have, and I know you guys will agree with this.
Yes, definitely. So one of the things we ask all our guests is, how do you define intimacy?
Um, I would say that intimacy is a certain degree of closeness, like that it's a coming together. Really, for me, because you can have a friendship that's intimate, you can have a partnership that's intimate, but all in all, I think intimacy is really about that coming together and connecting on a deeper level, both broad and deep.
Right. And so in your relationship, in your previous marriage, you guys were very connected. And I know sometimes when you go through an illness, you know, that is a lot.
It is a lot. The biggest trick. I mean, people asked me at the time, well, how do you do that? It's cancer. And it was 9 years. So how do you handle that for 9 years, right? And you handle it day by day, But we actually had something that really helped us. And the thing that really helped was we had 3 house rules, and everybody loves the 3 house rules. So I'll share the 3 house rules.
Yes.
No drama, no bullshit.
Okay.
Second one is say what you mean what you say.
Right.
And third is never do we lose our sense of humor.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
And right up till the end, we never lost our sense of humor.
Wow.
Palliative care ward, and we never lost our sense of humor. Now, does it change a little bit? Yes. But nonetheless, you have to kind of come together on that, no extra drama. That life throws enough of this. Thanks. We're
Right.
good.
Right. And I wonder if also, Richard, in that you guys understood that life is short.
Increasingly so, especially after the diagnosis. But it was a matter of, after the diagnosis, there was still that very kind of, it was like, oh, well, this is highly treatable. So it can be treated, but we don't know how long that treatment lasts. So yes, life is valuable. And we were always about being very intentional. We didn't watch, we had cable for like a month, and we were like, this is garbage, get rid of this. So the thing for me was we would watch certain shows, but we would stream. So we watched on our schedule. We chose what we watched. We chose how long we watched for. We were very intentional about our time and about, kind of what we wanted to pursue. And we aligned nicely on that. So that's really important to know as well.
Right, definitely. And then even sorry, Coach K had to leave
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
okay. But even after that process of just like you said, coming together, having these rules and these guidelines, and then and you were so close because when someone is sadly stricken to be just home and you're a caretaker, yeah,
Mhm.
and then that loss.
The interesting thing is that there are people who are taken suddenly, and that's very hard because you don't have a chance to kind of process that loss. In my case, and I'm being very upfront here, is that I understood the medicine of it. She understood the medicine of it. I understood the medicine of it. And then 8 months before she actually passed away, there was neurological involvement. She had a brain bleed, and that makes a huge change because the second there's neurological involvement, it's a massive undertaking. It kind of tipped the scales. So I knew what was coming. I knew the process. I understood what was happening as it was happening. So I actually kind of lost her over time,
Right.
and I adapted as that went. Now I tend to be rather adaptable. I tend to handle change very well. So I'm kind of fortunate in that way. I
Okay.
know not everybody handles change well. So.
Yes. And did you guys talk about you dating afterwards?
We did actually. We were very much about quality over quantity. So it was very much. She said, no, and she was very much at one point. She goes, "If I go before you," and this was early on before the diagnosis, but even after the diagnosis, she was like, no. She goes, "You do not turn into a hermit. You do not, you do not fall apart. Life is for living. We're intentional now. Don't change that. Be intentional and." If you're going to find somebody and do it right.
Okay. Okay.
So there
So,
was that.
okay, awesome. Because that sometimes having that discussion early, even as you just get married or whatever the case may be, then it doesn't leave the other person feeling guilty. You know what I'm saying?
And
Right.
there's a lot around that guilt,
Right.
especially survivor's guilt. And yes, you're absolutely right. It's a huge problem for many people who have lost their partner.
Right, definitely. And so after that, and she passed away, and then of course, you have this whole grieving process.
And the funny part is, especially for men, and I will say this especially for men, this is true for everyone, but
Right.
really true for men, is you don't get to grieve right away.
Right.
Right? Because I call it the carnival. Everybody shows up and you're suddenly part of the midway and it's just sound and blur and everybody's there and you have to help them through their loss.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to grieve right away.
Right.
Not really. Like you may a little bit, but you really get when the carnival is over and everybody kind of goes back to their routines. That's when you kind of go, oh, and you kind of sit in it. And
Right.
now you're like, now you've got to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
who's left to help, who's left, and it's rarely who you think, but the people who are left after the carnival are incredibly important. And I was very fortunate. I had very supportive family, amazing friends. My social network is good, so I had friends and family to help who were there for me and who'd check in, and
Oh,
I'm very grateful for that.
oh, that's definitely a blessing.
It
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. It makes
Yeah.
all the difference.
Right. And then going back into the dating world, because before you were like probably, I'm assuming, in your 20s.
Yes.
Yes, yes. And now,
Yes.
it's totally different when you're dating later on in life. Yeah.
And more so going into the pandemic.
Oh, yes. That's why I totally forgot about that. Yes.
Right? So it changed a lot. Yeah, I mean, sure. You have the hope that oh yeah, well my friends will hook me up,
Right.
but how well do they know you behind closed doors, right? I mean that's part of intimacy is being able to be open and free with somebody behind closed doors, and there's no judgments, and there's no and each other's quirks and whatnot, and that's fine. Well, good, we're good. But the idea of oh my god, I've got to start over. Oh my god, like, and even a lot of people, a lot of men lose their identity too because there's so much invested, especially when you're a caretaker. You are their caretaker, and yes, you work and whatnot, or whatever. But now all of a sudden it's like, okay, now what am I? Who am I? What do I like?
Mm-hmm.
People lose their identity after losing their partner, men and women. And it's a huge thing to kind of rebuild the identity. And your social network helps with that.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned, because that's where I was going to start. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. It's that identity, because before you can go out there, I think you have to know, what do you bring to the table?
and isn't that just it, right? And I talk a lot about pillars of identity. Women tend to have larger social networks, so they tend to have more pillars, right? I am mom, I am sister, I am daughter, I am, I am part of the PTA, whatever it is.
Right.
You have a lot of roles, and your job and your colleagues and what. Men tend to have less, because, and increasingly as time went on, men have less friends, less close friends. So they don't have as large a social network. So unless you have people who are really out and have your back, you have work. A lot of men, you lose your partner, you've got work. And
Right.
okay, maybe you've got the kids, but the kids are not your social network. They're
Right.
not your support. You have to be there for them, but it doesn't go the other way around. You can't put that on the kids. It's crazy. So now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, you've got a pillar of one, pillar of two. That's not as solid as we'd like. So a little help goes a long way.
Yes. Yeah. And so, in your work, is that one of the things that you do, is you help men
Oh
who
yeah.
are just
Big
starting
time.
out to, like, how can I figure out who I am, what my identity is?
Well, you want to? I can sum up what I do fantastically quickly, and it really comes down to when you're about to get on. Oh yeah, just get on a dating site. No, no. You have to know what a good relationship looks like. You have it's about going out there. It's about putting yourself out there, having a good foundation, putting yourself out there, and being a beacon to the type of people you want to attract.
Right.
Right? So you have to know who you are, what a good relationship looks like, what are your deal breakers, what are you looking for? And I'm not talking like the Santa's list. I
Right.
do that with my people, right? I do the Santa's list, and then we break it down and we get 5. That's it. You get 5.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else. And because you don't want to miss out on options, because you're trying to check off a checklist and nobody's going to meet all those checks. So no, you get 5. And everything else is open for discovery. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a big part of it. So you come in knowing who you are, you're comfortable, and even everybody has something they're insecure about. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter who you are. So you know what? Address it. Come in. You know what it is. You have your game plan. You know when you're going to talk about it. You don't want to introduce it too early. You don't want to introduce it too late. And you want to be very, because what's big for you is not usually as big for your partner.
Right. Right. Do you recommend the whole online dating? Some people have their profile on 20 places.
I do recommend online dating. I don't recommend getting on 20 sites. My thing about online dating is you look for a plumber, you go to the yellow pages or you go to Google, right?
Right.
I'm looking for single people.
Right.
There's no more meetups.
Right.
It's very rare. So the fact is that now it's become a thing. It's a matter of, okay, if I want to meet single people, I'll go where the single people are. But again, how you present there. And there's a lot, let's be very honest, there's a
Right.
lot that has to do with business marketing. It's the same kind of concept. I want to have my personal brand. I want to, brand is why, marketing is how you ask for a date. Branding is why they go out with you. Yeah,
Yes.
have a good brand.
Yeah. And which is, of course, goes back to knowing your brand.
Exactly.
Right. And what you put out there is kind of going to be what you attract.
Exactly. And like, honestly, if for anybody listening who goes, hey, my dating profile doesn't seem to be working for me, you know what? I'll give you a tip. Break it down to 3 things. You've got what am I looking for? Who I am, talk to me about. That's
Right.
it. And if somebody comes back with talk to me about, and you go, hey, I love traveling to Spain. If somebody comes back, where's your favorite spot? Hey, you've got an opener. That's great, but the people who resonate with what you put out there as what I'm looking for, they know right away, hey, that's me, or it's not. And that's okay. I don't need a lot of responses. I need good ones. Right? You don't need 300 leads. You need very qualified leads. if we go into business terms.
Right. And I think with men, sometimes it's like, also when they're on these dating sites and they're trying to start communicating with a female, what do I say? Do I say enough? Do I say a lot? You know, how do I navigate all that?
And again, that's part of the profile. Is look at the profile. What can you talk about? What's an opener? What grabs you and goes, "Ooh, I can talk about that." Whether it's fine food, whether it's travel, whether it's and look, if you're really into golf, that's fine.
Right.
If she's into golf, that's even better. Then you can talk golf, but you don't want to be talking about something they're not interested in. So look at their profile, and that's how you get game. That's how you get noticed, is by approaching the right way. Because I have seen some horrible. I have worked with women too, but I have seen some horrible approaches from men. I think the worst one was they sent their phone number and that was it. And it's like,
Right.
what do you need to do with that?
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
nothing. What is that? No game.
Right.
Deleted. Yeah.
Oh, you can't just copy and paste because they think, no, yeah, especially for the females, we want to feel special.
Well, I talk a lot about heard, respected, valued, right? The key to a relationship, yeah, communication is fine. I definitely, communication is important, but it's the foundation on that is heard, respected, valued. So
Right.
if your dating profile, if they come in with a generic response, you're going to be like, next.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a matter of step up, step out, be yourself, be comfortable with yourself so that you're authentic. And I mean,
Right.
100% authentic. And if they don't like you, that's okay. It's okay. You don't have to be everybody's cup of tea.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
That's
Yes.
it.
Yes. So we have a question out there.
Ooh, love
where,
questions.
yeah, a person is grieving and they're feeling lonely, but they don't know, is it time to go out and date or not date?
And this is the most popular question ever. I love this one. First key is socialize a lot. When you've lost a partner, you must socialize. Why? Because you don't want to get into a rut or a routine that traps you. It's good to have a good foundation. Yes, we need stability, but we also need novelty as humans, whether it's our job, whether it's our relationships, whether it's our friendships, our family. We need to have some novelty in there to get things going, but we do need a good foundation. So introduce novelty, make sure that you're being social and going, getting out there, figuring out what you enjoy again. Try different restaurants, do things, get together with friends, make new friends. Whatever it is, you have to get out of your skin. You have to get out of your, you can't just become a hermit. That's the big one. And then you'll know when you're ready. And this is my big one is, why do you want the relationship? Do you know what the relationship, what a good relationship looks like at this point in your life for who you've become, not for who you were, but for who you've become? And two, are you looking for a relationship to fill a void or share a life?
Oh.
Because if you're looking to fill a void, you're never going to find that. That you have to do yourself. Then you have the space for somebody to share that life with.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking to fill a void, then you're basically looking for somebody to be your life raft. And that, of course, that's not the good kind of intimacy.
Right. Because as I see it, it's like your heart has holes in it. And if you're just trying to find another relationship to put in those holes versus healing that heart, it's going to have, triggering and other, ramifications, which is exactly. And then the other thing is that what you said, it was great, it's about being active.
Mm.
Yes, because even in the sense of the law of inertia, when things are moving. So if you're out there socializing, doing things, and then a partner comes who's also, you can move together versus you being standstill and just sitting on the couch.
Well, and let's be honest, I'm a neuroscience nerd, right? So we've heard, you may have heard about neuroplasticity. You would probably definitely have heard of neuroplasticity. For the listeners, neuroplasticity is your ability to take in new information, to learn new things. And the idea is if you don't exercise it, it doesn't go away, but it becomes more rigid. And if you are always in the same environment with the same stimuli, your brain fires in the same patterns, and you're just going to keep recycling the same patterns over and over. So you have to change the environment, change the stimuli, learn new things, take on something new, try something. even if you don't like it, that's okay. We
Right.
learn. Okay, I didn't like that. Great, moving on.
Yeah, don't go back again. Just move
Right.
on.
Exactly
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I like how you stated that, because that's sometimes what you have to go through to really figure out what relationship, what are my boundaries, what is good for me.
And what is good for me is a big part of going into a relationship. You want to be interesting. You want to be interested in the other person. You can't be kind of in your own foxhole and just it can't be all about you. And you don't want to dive completely into their life. You want to join again, share a life, but you don't necessarily want to plug into somebody else's life, because then is that your relationship? Is it how that can be very unhealthy? So it's a matter of really kind of figuring out again who you are, what you like, what you're comfortable with, what your boundaries are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I was thinking, in the sense, as we're getting older, I know I am, when you're in a
Let's do
relationship.
it.
Yes, yeah. When you're in a relationship or starting a relationship with someone, you do also have to think about, am I willing to take care of this person? Because
Yes.
you don't think about it when you're 20, but
Nope.
when you're 50 or 60 or 70, yeah.
The other thing about getting older as well is that we have less tolerance for foolishness, right? We don't have time for games. We don't. Our time is too precious. So and I think one of the problems with dating is that the first person who shows interest back and it's like, oh, this is great, and jump right in, and it's like healthy skepticism is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying look. I love the assume positive intent, but trust and verify, right? I'm very much about the idea of healthy skepticism is a good thing, and I work with people for healthy skepticism, and how are these messages going? Is there actually an equal exchange? Investment into what's going, and so on and so forth. So that's something that's really important as well.
Okay, yes. So Richard, what do you say to someone who they feel like it's the love of their life? And they said, this belief, you find this one love, you celebrate so many years, they're gone. Will I ever love again?
So the question I would ask them is, okay, I absolutely agree that you found an amazing relationship. But are you the same person when you started that relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Who have you become because of that relationship? And what has that, how have you evolved and grown? Because you're not looking to replace the relationship you lost. You're looking to create a whole new relationship, new rules, new discovery, new everything. This is going to be a novelty, but it's making that novelty something that is healthy and wonderful and enriching, and that enhances both of your lives, and then coming together, and really that becomes part of your stable foundation, and then finding the novelty within. So that's where I kind of approach that from. It's a matter of, you're not looking to replace what was.
Right.
This is a new era. This is a lot of people will say chapter 2. I like the idea of starting a new chapter, turning the page, starting a new chapter. We can't say this the first part of the story didn't happen.
Right.
That's foolishness. Right? But
Right.
we have to say, yes, this happened, but this is a new chapter. The story continues. And where do we go from here? And I can take all the best of of what I've learned from chapter 1, and I am a better protagonist because of it. And let's move to the unknown.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that. So Richard, if people out there listening and they want to get in contact with you,
thewidowerswingman.com. The easiest way to get in touch with me. For people who want to connect with me, I offer free calls. It's not a sales call. I just want to meet people. I want to see where you're at, what you need. I will put you in touch with the right resources. And if I am that resource, great. But if I'm not, that's okay. I am going to make sure that, and I will check in along the way and make sure that you are where you need to be.
oh, awesome. So it's www.thewidowerswingman.com.
And that is a mouthful. Spell it out like that is a mouthful.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Dr. April Brown. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yes. All right. This has been the Bringing Intimacy Back show. We'll be back in a moment.
Life can be overwhelming sometimes. We think we are a burden to others. We think that it's better to hide it and suppress our hurt, but it's not. As Cave Coral Therapists, we will provide you with quality, confidential counseling services in a relaxing and peaceful environment. Talk to a professional today. Book an appointment on www.cavecoraltherapist.com or call 239-565-6921.
Welcome back to the Bringing Intimacy show, where intimacy is real. I'd like to thank our guest, Richard. He just did a great job helping us understand if you're out there and you've had a loss, or maybe you're in a relationship and there's illnesses and you're struggling. Well, he's a great person to connect with. But let's say you're trying to find love after loss. What he said was so important on how it's important to know yourself, of what you bring to the table. He also said the importance of knowing what a healthy relationship looks like, which he can help you with. And he also talked about, of course, the importance of socializing and trying new things, which is extremely important. So if you're out there, really think about checking him out. And yes, I just think it is a great tool for you to use. Okay, so I'm coming up for our upcoming shows. Next week, we're going to, Coach K and I will talk about why men marry the next door girl. On October 26th, we'll be in Exploring Intimacy with the clinical sexologist, Shauna Harris. November 2nd, we have Daniel James. He's the owner of the Prime Life Project, which we'll know a little bit more about. And on November 9th, we'll talk about godly relationships. Thank you so much. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Let us know what you like. Have any comments? And again, definitely check out Richard Strother and see what he's all about. This has been the Bringing Intimacy show, where intimacy is real. Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Bringing Intimacy Back, where intimacy is real. You can also find us at bringingintimacyback.com, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Dr. April Brown's 7th book series, Improving Intimacy, is now on Amazon. We'll see you next Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe.